Hey, what's up everyone? This is SnackBox. Hope you all had a wonderful day. Guys, we have a new Chimera rotation with new affinity changes, and I'm gonna showcase my Ultra Nightmare team in this video. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe, and now let's get back to the video. So, we got a new rotation. It's rotation number 3 now, the first week of rotation number 3, and the Chimera changes from Magic Affinity in the Ultimate form to Spirit Affinity in the Ram form, Lion form, and Viper form. That means Magic Affinity champions are the way to go for this rotation. Now, this is the team that I used. Let me move myself a little bit out of the way so you can see all the champions. So I used Nekmo as the speed lead. He brings increased speed, turn meter boost, decrease attack, leech, decrease speed. So a lot of things, and is really great for like turn meter manipulation and to make sure that my champions take more turns. Then I have Siphi in here, my reviver for this team, with block debuffs, increased defense, increased speed, also a little bit of heal. And the revive is just a single target revive, but revives the target with 100% turn meter, which is really nice. Then we have Lady Mikage for the beautiful synergy with Ninja. The ally attacks, increase attack, increase crit damage, buff strip, weaken if you need it, increase accuracy, and the debuff duration increase and the buff duration increase. Very, very strong. Then we have Lydia with the decreased defense, and we can increase speed, strengthen, block active skills, poison sensitivity, block buffs, and fear. And last but not least, Ninja for the damage with the decreased defense, HP burn. He buffs Perfect Whale on himself and does a lot of damage because he always joins up on Lady Mikage's A1. I used a very similar team last week. The only two things that I changed in this team is I used Nekmo instead of Arbais, and I used Ninja instead of Harima. And the reason for that is because we have the Spirit Affinity and the Magic Affinity, which suits Ninja better than Harima. Now with Nekmo I had a couple of problems on the Magic Affinity Chimera because sometimes he would weak hit and not place the decreased speed, so I had to try a couple of times till the RNG was on my side and I was actually placing the decreased speeds very consistently. Because if I don't place a decreased speed, that means I'm losing a lot of damage because the Chimera is faster than I want her to be and I lose a lot of turns. So you kind of want always to make sure that the decreased speed lands. Now I lost like 2 cycles of the Magic Affinity because Nekmo didn't place a decreased speed. Now I didn't really lose them, but I lost a lot of damage, let's put it like this. But before we go too deep into this team, let me show you the trials for this week. So here you can see the trials for this week on Ultra Nightmare for the Ram form. Now as you can see, the only 5 mythical eye masses that you can get in here are the ones from the trials number 3. In order to be able to complete this, you need to damage the Chimera with a champion that has a Perfect Whale buff, and decreased defense has to be on the Chimera. Now we have Ninja, and he buffs himself with Perfect Whale, and he also places the decreased defense, as well as Lydia, so we kind of check that box. Then the second one, place 6 unique debuffs on the Chimera, and 6 unique buffs on your champions within 2 of the Chimera's turns. This should be also pretty fairly easy to do. And then block 8 stun debuffs using block debuffs, intercept, or stone skin buffs within 5 of the Chimera's turns. This is probably the easiest trial in here. You can technically just block all of this with a Siphi A2 or any other champion that can place block debuffs. Now my problem was that I was kind of struggling a lot with the Ram form because my Ninja would just die instantly. And if I revive him with Siphi, he has 100% turn meter and he would die instantly again. So there was absolutely no way for me to keep him alive. Now it might work better with a different reviver that doesn't revive with 100% turn meter, but at the end of the day, he will definitely kill himself. I don't know how to prevent this other than to use block damage or an unkillable buff, but I can't put this in my team. It just doesn't fit in. Theoretically, you are able to complete all of these trials from number 3. Theoretically, I couldn't do it because my ninja was just dead the whole time. And when I revived him, he was dead again. So I couldn't complete this trial. But theoretically, we are bringing all the debuffs and buffs to complete this trial number 3. We also can complete trials number 2 because we have the increased accuracy from Lady Mikage. We have seven unique debuffs from our champions. We have the weaken and the increased crit rate and the increased crit damage on our team. Increased crit rate is actually a buff that is placed by Siphi when she revives a champion. Weaken can be placed by Lady Mikage and Lydia, and increased crit damage comes from Lady Mikage's ally attack. And then the last one, damage the Chimera with a single skill while it's under weaken and decreased defense. Ninja is definitely able to do that with decent gear on, right? So theoretically, we are able to complete trials number 2 and the trials number 3. And also trials number 1, the easy and the normal one, should be possible to do. But here comes the big but. The ramp form is just not allowing it without an block damage or an unkillable buff on your champion, because your damage dealer will just kill himself. So you're kind of like forced to build the other champions with maybe a crit rate gauntlet or something, so you can deal a little bit of damage and maybe complete some of these trials, because your other champions are dealing a little bit of damage, and when your ninja gets revived, he does his one hit, does like 500, 600,000 damage or something, and that way you can maybe complete these trials. Let me know in the comments below if you are able to complete these trials, because in my run I wasn't able to complete them. I even tried it on Nightmare, but it just wasn't possible. I completed some of them, but it was basically a disaster. Then on the line form, we have the 4 mythical masses from the trials number 1. To unlock those, we need to damage the Chimera with a single skill while it is under 6 or more debuffs and your champions are under increased death buffs. Will not count damage from counterattacks. We can definitely do this one. Then the normal one, absorb damage using shield buffs, will not count surplus damage. I still don't know how to complete this. Never been able to. And then the hard one, block damage using block damage or unkillable buffs. We don't have that in our team. But this is the one that gives you 4 mythical masses this week. On the trials number 3, we have to damage the Chimera while it's under leech to unlock the ones that give you mythical masses. Place 10 debuffs on the Chimera within 2 of its turns. One of the debuffs must be a decrease resistance debuff. Now, there are not a lot of champions that can actually place a decrease resistance debuff and that also kind of fit in a row for Chimera. Most of them are basically mythical champions like Galathir or Crixia. There are definitely some legendary champions, but they don't do much other things, you know, like they don't bring other value in. So I think Galathir is the best option to bring in that decrease resistance. Then for the hard one, to get those 5 mythical masses, you have to damage the Chimera using reflect damage buffs, Pain Link, or passive reflect damage effects. And the only champion that comes into my mind to be able to complete this one is maybe Geomancer. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below if you have another champion that can do this on Ultra Nightmare. I'm very curious to see some ideas. Now, with this team that I'm using, we can definitely complete trials number 1, the easy one. We can complete trials number 2, the easy, the normal one, and the hard one. And we can complete trials number 3, the easy one. So that's all we can do here with the team that I used. Then on the Viper form, we have a total amount of 8 mythical masses from the trials number 3. And to be able to unlock these, we need to damage the Chimera within 3 of its turns while it is under decreased attack and your champions are under increased speed. Now this is pretty easy. We have Nekmo with Nekmotar with the decreased attack. We have Lydia, Nekmotar, and Siphi with the increased speed, so shouldn't be a problem at all. Then we have the normal one here, which will reward us with 3 mythical masses, damage the Chimera with a single skill while your champions are under increased attack and block debuffs, will not count damage from counterattacks. We also got both of these buffs and debuffs. We have increased attack from Lady Mikage, we have block debuffs from Lydia, and that was actually pretty easy to do. And I think these 3 mythical masses are the only ones that I got from this team that I used in this run. Then on the hard trial here, you need to resist 20 debuffs while the Chimera is under a decreased accuracy debuff and your champions are under increased resistance buffs. So for this specific trial, there is one champion that actually fits in that role, and that is Firo. I actually pulled him recently and I instantly thought about this trial when I pulled this guy, and I think I will definitely utilize him at some point when I build him, maybe in the next CVC or sometime near in the future, and that way I can complete this trial if it rewards me mythical masses. Now we were definitely able to complete the easy one here on the trials number 1, the normal one as well, and the hard one we couldn't do because we didn't have 10 debuffs, we just have 9, and our 10th debuff is actually block active skills. Now I could have put somebody in a toxic set and that way we could, fill up the debuff bar and complete this trial, but I wasn't caring too much about those 8 legendary masses to swap gear and put the toxic set on somebody. So you can definitely do that if you want to, if you're trying to go for these 8 legendary masses, and if you want to try out this team that I used, put someone in a toxic set, for example Lydia, Mikage, or whoever, doesn't really matter, or Nekmo, unless it's Siphi or Ninja. Might not be a good idea to put them in a toxic set, but yeah, you can definitely go for this one. I just didn't feel like it. Trials number 2, we don't have poisons really, and even if you bring in a toxic set, there's no way to complete this one. You kind of need like a poison activation or something to be able to complete this one, or big version of poisons and somebody that puts more like 2 or 3 poisons with 1 skill. And then we were able to complete the easy and the normal one from trials number 3. Now let's take a look at the actual run. So the first thing I had to pay attention to is to place the decreased speed in the first cycle with Nekmo, because you only need to place it once, because Mikage is able to increase the debuff duration of all the debuffs on the Chimera, and that way you only need to place it once, and that is really, really a big advantage. Now, as you can see, we swapped to the Ram form. The Ram form is targeting Lydia because Lydia has the lowest crit damage on my team, and now I'm basically forced to do an ally attack with Ninja, and yeah, he will basically just kill himself again. Now I'm reviving Lydia, trying to place the fear, but I think in this run the RNG wasn't really on my side. And here I chose to increase the debuff and buff duration because I didn't want to kill Ninja, but as you saw, Ninja died anyway, so I probably just could have went for the ally attack. And as you can see, my Nekmo died instantly after too, so basically everything that was, possible to go wrong went wrong here on the Ram form. And I'm already at turn count 9 and I didn't really do anything, right? So the Ram form, I don't know, it is really, really annoying for me to deal with it. If you guys have a way to deal with the Ram form, let me know in the comments below, because at this point I'm kind of getting a little bit frustrated because I really don't know how to manage, the reflect damage from the Chimera, especially with a champion like Ninja. But then after the Ram form, we are trying to get as much damage in as possible. That is basically our time. We don't have to pay attention to anything but, just to place the decreased speed and to keep the debuffs up, and then just do as much damage as possible. Also, a big damage push is the attack up and the crit damage buff on Ninja. So I'm always trying to use the ally attack before from Mikage before I use the buff duration increase, the A2. So I'm using the A3 before I use the A2, so I can keep the increased attack and crit damage up as long as possible, because that's what Ninja scales damage from, right? So yeah, as you can see, his A2 does around 1 million damage. His A3 hits for like 800,000, 900,000. His A1 does like 600, 700k, something like that. And every time Mikage takes a turn, he does damage. So that's actually why he dealt so much damage. Then right before the Viper form, I'm trying to use no buffs at all. I'm trying to run out of buffs so the Viper form doesn't steal any buffs from my champions. Now the Viper got increased speed, which is not ideal. I really don't want the Viper form to get that increased speed because I want the Chimera to be as slow as possible so I can take more turns. But basically all we have to do here is lock the active skills of the Viper form, get the leech on it, and just, heal our champions up and try to survive those poisons. It's also very important to have the block debuffs up because the A1 from the Viper form is actually able to crowd control our champions, and we want to avoid that. But yeah, as you can see, turns 27, we caught up in damage pretty much. We are sitting at 54 million damage now, and it will only get more until we hit the ram form again. And here you can see it, the second cycle of the ram form. The ram form targets Lydia again. And also another thing I had to pay attention to is the crit damage buff, because I want the ram form to attack my Lydia, which has the lowest crit damage. I also have to make sure that either everybody has a crit damage buff or nobody, because if Siphi has no crit damage buff and Lydia has a crit damage buff, the ram form will actually attack Siphi. So I definitely want to avoid that and make sure everybody has a crit damage buff or nobody. And yeah, as you can see, Ninja laying on the floor again, taking a little nap, as always on the ram farm. The problem really is, if I revive Ninja now, he will have 100% turn meter and kill himself again, and I have a 4-turn cooldown on the revive from Siphi, so it's not really helping me. So yeah, by the end of the second cycle of the Viper form and the last 5 turns, we are sitting at 128 million damage. Now, as you saw, the Chimera nuked my Ninja, which was very unfortunate. I weak hit. I didn't actually weak hit. The decreased speed got resisted, a 3% chance. And yeah, the Chimera again nuked my Ninja and my Nekmo, and I lost a lot of damage in the last cycle. But at the end of the day, I already got the 1 key damage, so it wasn't really too dramatic. If Ninja would have survived that attack, or if Nekmo would have placed a decreased speed, I might have survived that hit from the Chimera. And then here you can see the last turn, and the Chimera flies away. And this is the end result: 129.44 million damage, 2 billion clash points. Ninja with almost 110 million damage, almost a 1 key damage from Ninja alone. 10.5 million damage from Lydia, 5.2 from Nekmo, 2.2 from Lady Mikage, and almost 2 million damage from Siphi. I actually don't know how she did that much damage, but it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, not a bad key at all. I got 9 trials done with this team. You can definitely do 14 or even more. I'm not really sure, but you can do more than 9 trials with this team for sure, if you know how to complete the trials on the ram farm, because I couldn't do it. Now, if there's a way, let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious if you know a way how to keep Ninja alive maybe, and how to complete those trials. Oh yeah, here you can actually see the materials that I got. So I got 26 rare iMasses, 15 epic ones, 14 legendary, 3 mythical ones, and 1 gemstone. So yeah, I actually used the same team on Chimera Nightmare. Now here I actually completed 12 trials in total. I don't have the screenshots of which trials I actually did, what resources I got for this one, because I didn't record it. And yeah, but as you can see, 136 million damage, almost 137 from Ninja, and the rest of the other guys. He almost did as much damage on his own as on my, Ultra Nightmare key. So On Nightmare, this definitely worked better than on Ultra Nightmare in terms of completing trials. Also here I had a little bit more freedom, and because the Chimera has less speed, I take more turns and so on. But here I had a little bit more freedom, and I could use the increased accuracy from Lady Mikage to complete the ram form trial, and that way be able to complete 3 more trials on the ram form actually. Also the damage you need to do for those trials is lower on lower difficulties, so it's way easier to do. But I think there's like 14 or maybe even 15 trials that you can do with this team if you have the right gear and if you have maybe better blessings, more speed, more damage, and stuff like that. Maybe you can do more trials than me. I did 12 trials on Nightmare. So here are the builds for my champions: Nekmo in a Relentless set and a 4-piece Merciless set for the 30% chance to decrease a random skill's cooldown by 1 turn when dealing damage. This is pretty nice because every time he gets an extra turn, he can deal damage. He also gets an extra turn anyway from his A3, and then he has a 30% chance to decrease a random skill's cooldown, so this works pretty nice together. His stats are at 57k HP, 3.9k attack, 3.5k defense, 276 speed, 105% crit rate. I have crit rate gauntlets on him, 209 crit damage, 500 accuracy. 520 would be ideal, but 500 is enough to place debuffs. I got the Journal of Necrotos on him because the Varus heals and turn meter increase effects applied to allies are boosted by 15%. This helps his big turn meter boost because he has this 30% turn meter increase, which is one of the highest in the game. And then also the increased speed, and he's booked. And I have Cruelty on him, and these are his masteries. He has War Master, War Hexer, Cycle of Magic, and Lore of Steel, and all that good stuff. Then we have Siphi in a 9-piece protection set for the protected buffs. Gives more damage for Ninja when he gets those protected buffs. She's sitting at 75k HP, 4.4k defense, 371 speed, and 408 resistance. Doesn't really matter that much, it's just the protection gear that I have. Also have the Journal of Necrotos on her because she boosts star meter and heals a little bit. She's completely booked, has intimidating presence, mostly for arena, not really for Chimera. And these are her masteries, pretty much arena masteries. Then we have Lydia in a Feral set. The Feral set actually works for non-max HP damage dealers. The ally that the 9-piece bonus, allies deal 5% more damage per each debuff placed by the wearer, actually works for Ninja and all the other non-max HP damage dealers. And because she plays a lot of debuffs, she plays decreased defense, we can block buffs, poison sensitivity, and block active skills on the Viper and fear on the Ram form. There's a lot of debuffs going on, so that definitely makes sense to boost the damage. Now you could technically put her in a toxic set and that way, maybe complete 1 or 2 more trials, but this is the route that I went for to maximize my damage. Now she's completely booked. She has Brimstone, which helps with the damage for sure. As you saw, she did like 10 million damage in total. She has War Master, Master Hexer, Cycle of Magic, Lore Steel, and Life Drinker, so she has a little bit of survivability. And then we have Lady Mikage here in a Relentless set. She also has a Pinpoint set. I'm definitely gonna change that soon, as soon as I get a decent Stone Skin gear for her, because I want her to be in Stone Skin mainly for arena. But this is the build that I used, and I'm using Relentless because every time she takes a turn, there's a potential ally attack with Ninja, and every turn she takes means more damage. That's really beneficial. Then the stats are 75k HP, 3.6k defense, 328 speed, 502 accuracy. I got no relic on her. She's not completely booked. Her A1 is not completely booked, but doesn't really matter. The ignore resistance on her A2 definitely helps a lot, but she doesn't really need to be booked on the A1 or A2, but the A3, if the A3 is booked, that definitely helps. A 4-turn cooldown on an ally attack. With the Relentless set, she can cycle this ally attack back more often. This is really important because the increased attack really boosts Ninja's damage as his damage scales from attack. Then the masteries, Eagle Eye for more accuracy, basically just arena stuff. I also have a Life Drinker here. I might change that soon, but that's technically what the masteries were in this run. And then we go to Ninja, and he's in a Merciless set, in a 6-piece Merciless set. He has 1 piece of Feral for additional accuracy because I want to place debuffs with him, and these are his stats. He's at 46k HP, 7.4k attack, 2.7k defense, a little bit low on the defense side, but it's fine. 220 speed, 105% crit rate. I can maybe get this a little bit lower and get something else up, and 320 crit damage. 402 accuracy was enough to place debuffs and worked pretty well. I'm not really relying on them, but yeah, more accuracy would be better, of course. I have the Cat's Gaze on him for more damage. He gets additional 16% defense ignore, 26% crit damage. And then I have this Dungeon Gemstone in here because I use this Cat's Gaze technically on my Seer, and increases the wearer's crit damage by 10% for each enemy whose HP is at 50% or lower. And this actually works for bosses as well, for clan bosses. So when the clan boss is below 50%, this gemstone works. But the other 2 gemstones, I would definitely swap them out for something else that is helpful, because those 2 are not really doing anything. He's completely booked. I went with Nature's Wrath because I have a 3-star soul, and Nature's Wrath is probably the best way to go here. If I had a 6-star soul, I would go with Crushing Rend. The masteries, he has Helm Smasher, Life Drinker for a little bit more survivability, Lore of Steel, Cycle of Magic, and Master Hexa. And yeah, that's pretty much all about my team, all the builds. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments below, what teams are you using? How many trials are you completing? How much damage are you doing? And do you know how to maneuver around the ramp form to complete those trials without, a block damage from a las or something like that? Because I'm really running out of ideas how to complete those trials and not having my nuker killed the whole time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.